We are learning political science lesson 2, that is the electoral process. Yesterday, in the previous lesson, we have seen the responsibility of the election commission. Now, we are going to see functions of election commission. How do they function? What are their works? What are their duties? So let us see. Number one, preparing the voters list. So my dear student, yesterday I told you that those who complete the age of 18 are eligible candidate for voting. Such candidate has to fill the form and enroll their name in the voters list. This is the entire responsibility of the election commission. Once the name is enrolled in the list, then the list has to be made update, and the new voter list has to be prepared. So this is the entire responsibility of the election commission: updating the list and enrolling the names those who have completed the age of 18. Then we move on to next, that is decide the timetable and the program of election. Also, this is the responsibility to decide the timetable. Once the tenure of the previous government is over, then it is the responsibility of the election commission to set the timetable for new election and then make the program for it. This is totally dependent, total responsibility lies in the election commission. And then they also have to check and see in how many stages the election to be held. That is because our nation is very big. 543 seats have to be elected. So it is the election is taken in different stages. For example, we have 48 seats in Maharashtra. So not all the 48 seats in Maharashtra is taken at once. In different stages, this election is taken. So the entire responsibility of taking this election in stages lies with the election commission. Then the third main important function of the election commission is scrutinizing the application of the candidates. So once the election is announced, then every party select their candidates, and then this candidate has to fill the official forms. These forms are filled. Some details they have to give. For example, I'll tell you that they have to write their proper name, their caste. Then they have to also give their property, how much property they have. Why is this? Because few candidates, when they go when they get elected, then they own lot of money and their property increases. So then this is a check. Earlier you had this much property, and how all of a sudden your property has increased. Therefore, the all the details they have to fill the forms. This form is scrutinized by the election commission, and then liable candidate is given the candidatureship, and they can contest the election. The next work of the election commission, or the functions of election commission, is to give recognition to political party. Our India has a democracy, and this democracy includes many parties. There are In America, they have only two parties, but in our country, we have multi-party system. So, if in case any split takes place between any political party, then this splits creates another political party. I would like to give you the example of Indian National Congress Party and Nationalist Congress Party. When Indian National Congress Party was split into two, the National Party was created by Sharad Pawar, and now we have two, that is Indian National Party, the old existing party, and now the new party, that is Nationalist Party, Rashtrawadhi Congress Party, we call it. So, in this way, my dear student, they have to take once the part or once the existing party is split, then this split party, if they want to have another political party, they have to take a prior permission from the election commission, and election commission officially gives them permission. This is called the recognition of the party. The next function of the election commission is to resolve any dispute relating to election. So, any dispute arises during election, then then it is declared that candidate as a disqualified candidate, and if the candidate is disqualified, then re-election is taken. I would like to give you here example. One candidate had filled his form, and he has given the fake certificates of his caste. Some people filed a case saying that these certificates are fake. Please scrutinize it again. And when it was found, it was checked, verified, and they found it that it was fake certificate. Immediately, the candidate was considered as disqualified, and then that place gets vacant. In this vacant place, my dear students, re-election is conducted, and then the new candidate is elected. Now we go on to next topic, is that restructuring of the constituency. In our parliament, in Indian parliament, we have total member of Lok Sabha is 543, which means throughout our country, we elect 543 members to Lok Sabha. They go to Delhi and forms the parliament. So, creating constituencies is the responsibility of the Delineation Commission of India. So, they forms from how many talukas includes one constituency, and this taluka this time they have to exclude and they have to add the new taluka. Then it is the responsibility of Delineation Commission to do this restructuring of the constituency. So in this way, the election commission functions in our country. Dear students, Sham Sharan Negi from Himachal Pradesh was the first voter of India. He exercised his rights to vote on 25th. He exercised his right to vote on 25th October 1951 in Lok Sabha election. Here few students are confused. They have a question. Government has to observe the code of conduct declared by election commission. Then who is superior, the government or the election commission? So who is superior, government or the code of conduct? Let me tell you, code of conduct in Marathi it is called Achar Sanhita. When the tenure of the existing government is over, and once the election commission declares the dates of election, then the code of conduct is told when it is applicable, and then the existing government doesn't have any power. They are only for nominal sake running the government. The power is in the hands of election commission. So Therefore, the question was rightly asked: who is in power, the existing government, or the code of conduct, or that means the election commission? During the election commission has supreme power, the higher power. So let us see what is a code of conduct. I have already told you in Marathi it is called Achar Sanhita. So to ensure free and fair election commission has adopted several measures, and the code of conduct is one such measure. In the last few decades, Election Commission has used its power to control malpractices during election. So, Election Commission has been empowered by the Constitution. Yesterday, we have seen they have been empowered, and therefore, uh, the code of conduct is applied. During that time, they are in full power, and it is their responsibility to control the malpractices. The code of conduct explains the rules that are to be followed by the government. For example, any political party member wants to go to one particular place for campaign, for the for campaign, and to attend the public meeting. He cannot go by the government helicopters. He cannot use that, or not even the government vehicle. He has to go by private vehicle. So it has to be followed. These rules has to be followed by the government, by the political parties, and by the voters. So code of conduct is, code means the rules. These rules has to be followed by government, by political parties, and by the voters. And when they have to be followed, that is before the election, once the date is announced, from that time onwards till the election, and during the election, till the candidates are announced as elected candidate, till then the code of conduct is remain, and those codes we have to follow, that is government, political parties, and the voters. Even the government cannot violate these rules. So, my dear student, those students which we saw the picture, they were confused that who is in higher authority. So here the answer is, even the government cannot violate these rules, which means during the election commission is in the authority. They have the higher powers. Due to strict observation of the code of conduct, in last few elections, the common voters have become confident. So, strict observation of the code of conduct. Code means, again I have told you that it is the rule which election commission has set before the nation. This has to be followed and observed by the people, by the government, and by the voters. No one can violate this rule, and therefore, due to strict observation of code of conduct, in last few decades, the common voters, the common people, have become confident, and therefore, earlier we used to have less than 50% of candidate voters coming out and casting their vote. Now the percentage is slowly increasing. Now people are coming out and in free and fair manner they are casting their vote. My dear students, we are going to see now challenges in conducting free and fair election in our country. If we take into account the size of our country and the number of voters, conducting election becomes a challenging task. Our size of country is very huge, and the voters are also quite many, and therefore it is a challenging task before the election commission to have a free and fair election. The election commission has to work in accordance with the law while dealing with these challenges. The election commission cannot have its own law. it has to work within the given framework of the constitution, and it has to work in that and accept the challenges. So let us see what are the challenges before the election commission during the election. So first challenge is that misuse of money during this election time. uh, Many political parties, they may misuse the money, the government money, and therefore it is the responsibility of the election commission to take several measures to stop such misuse of money. The second challenge before the election commission is that candidates with criminal background. My dear students, many a political party wants to give their tickets to the candidate who is of criminal background, and then criminalization increases in the parliament. To avoid this, election commission has to take several measures to stop this uh, criminalization in the parliament. The third is violence during election. Many a time, election goes on, and then suddenly someone comes with the weapons and starts beating the other parties in order that his candidate should not get elected, the other candidate, and therefore violence takes place in such during such time. All the political parties should help the election commission to control this violence. So it is not the only responsibility of the election commission, the police, but all the political parties should come together and control the violence. The fourth challenge before the election commission is family monopoly. My dear students, to retain a continuing influence on politics, leaders give election tickets to their own relatives. So we can have a famous example of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, followed by followed by his daughter Indira Gandhi, then her son Rajiv Gandhi, then his wife Sonia Gandhi, and now Rahul Gandhi. So it is considered as family monopoly. But there are quite a many eligible, capable candidates. So such candidate should get opportunity to come up, and therefore this is another challenge before the election commission. We have seen, dear students, the challenges before the election commission. Now we go to next topic, that is electoral reforms. Election is a continuous process. The future of democracy depends on the election. Electoral process become reliable if election process gets improved. So how to improve this election process? Some reforms we are going to discuss over here. So first reform here which we are going to discuss is the to increase the participation of women in the legislature. Last time in the previous lesson we had discussed that 33% of seats are kept reserved for women. That is only for local self-governing bodies, not at parliament, not even in the state election. So here the suggestion is that to increase participation of women, and it should be 33% of participation in the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha election. But my dear student, Maharashtra government has increased to 50% to local self-governing body. If the same thing is increased, that is 50% in the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, and the candidates and the people has to see, the political parties has to see that women representation is increased and they get elected. This is the first reform suggested. Now we go to next reform, that is no candidature to no candidature to candidate having criminal background. So candidature should not be of the criminal background. Otherwise, the criminalization increases in the parliament, and therefore we have to follow strictly, meticulously, that there should not be candidates with criminal background. And if at all any political party wants to give their tickets to the candidate who is having the criminal background, then the decision lies in the hands of Supreme Court or the High Court, and court's decision has to be followed meticulously. The next challenge is that the next reform which is suggested over here is the government should take care of election expenses. So first of all, to conduct the election, Lok Sabha election throughout the nation, it's very expensive, and for this government should keep separate funds, and also they should take care of these funds. Then no misuse of money should take place, as well as no mismanagement of money during election should take place. So we have to see that no misuse, no mismanagement, and election expenses has to be kept intact by the government. Lastly, the last reform, representation of the People's Act. Representation of the People's Act should be amended. Now this People's Act is that Lokpal. Anna Hazare is constantly fighting that at center and at state level we must have Lokpal. What is the use of Lokpal? Lokpal is a person who is from that vicinity. He knows who is criminal candidate, and such criminal candidate should not get ticket. Therefore, Lokpal is important. That is why Anna Hazare is fighting for. Dear students, this in the picture you can see a ballot box, and the vote which was casted has to be insert in the ballot box. This box was opened and then the votes were counted. This was used from 1951-52 first election till 1990. Then we have started using the EVM machine, and through this EVM machine we have saved cutting lot of trees because of electronic media. And this EVM machine has one more option, that is none of the above, which is called nota. That means you can cast your vote to your choice of the candidates, and if you don't like any candidates, then you can also cast your vote to none of the above, that is nota. Because of this EVM machine, my dear student, disabled people can cast their vote so very easily through this machine. So this is another thing that which is helpful for the people. Divyang people can cast their vote. Please understand, general election. The Lok Sabha elections held after every 5 years are called as general election. Midterm election, if the elected if the elected government loses its majority before completing its term, the term is of 5 years. Before completing its term, if they uh, if they lose their majority in the parliament, or if the parties of the candidates, if the parties of the coalition government withdraws their support, resulting in the loss of majority support for the government, and if no alternative government is possible, then elections are held before the completion of the term. They are called midterm election, which is called Madhyavadi Nivadnuk. And by election, if an elected representative in Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha or the local self government resigns, or due to his or her death, the his seat becomes vacant, the elections are held for that vacant seat. This is called by election. My dear students, now we have almost completed the electoral process chapter. I would like you to write the exercises given below the lesson, complete it, write it in your notebook, and have a nice day. So, my dear students, we have completed the second chapter of political science, the electoral process. We have seen how election commission functions, and now I want you to read this lesson once again and then write the exercises, complete, write in your notebook, and please read the lesson once again. Till then, have a good time. All the best.